If you want a greener home and a thriving garden, start with what's already sitting in your trash bin. Turn your waste into fertilizer. This is the effortless, time-saving composting tip you've been looking for. The simple way to start making DIY compost at home. Have you ever wondered, in the middle of life's chaos, what truly brings meaning to your everyday routine? I used to ask myself the same thing, until one day I began my journey of making compost right at home. It wasn't just about recycling kitchen scraps. It became a way for me to reconnect with nature and with myself. As we grow older, we tend to reflect more on the value of life and what we'll leave behind for the next generation. For me, making compost is a small but meaningful act, like sending a message of care to the environment, to Mother Earth, and to the future of our children. I believe many of us want to contribute something, even something small, to this world. And I'm sure this journey will bring you the same deep feelings it has brought me. First, why is compost so important? Have you ever thought about the life cycle of organic waste? Imagine this. Every day we throw away food scraps, leaves, fruit peels. If we simply toss them out, they become a burden on the environment. But when we turn these useless scraps into compost, they become a new source of life for the soil and our plants. Compost enriches the soil, makes it softer, boosts microorganisms, and helps plants grow strong and produce more. A friend once told me that after using homemade compost, her vegetable garden became noticeably greener, and she no longer worried about chemical fertilizers. And guess what? By using compost, you're also protecting your family's health because your homegrown food becomes cleaner and safer. It's a beautiful cycle, from organic waste back to the earth, nourishing plants and then nourishing us. Have you ever felt that joy when your garden grows thanks to your own effort? That's the true value compost brings, not just to the environment, but to every household. Second, when we first start composting, most of us carry certain fears. I still remember the first time I tried composting. I kept imagining bad smells filling the house or pests showing up. Have you ever felt that way? A friend once told me she felt uneasy just hearing the words kitchen waste. But in reality, once you understand composting, everything becomes much simpler. Environmental experts confirm that if you sort your waste properly and maintain the right moisture level, compost doesn't smell bad at all. I've tested this myself, and I learned that with patience and a willingness to learn from early mistakes, those worries slowly disappear. Imagine opening your compost bin and smelling fresh earth instead of foul odors. That's a real experience anyone can achieve once they get past the initial misunderstandings. Third, when starting composting at home, choosing the right place and container is more important than we think. Imagine a small corner on your balcony or a spot in your backyard. That tiny space can become where your organic waste transforms into new life for your plants. If you live in a small apartment, a lidded plastic bin or a foam box is enough. If you have a backyard, a small ground area, or a wooden bin can handle more waste. A friend once told me that with nothing more than a small bucket under the sink, she collected vegetable scraps every day, brought them to the balcony, and after a few months had amazing compost for her flowers. Experts recommend choosing a cool, shaded place, away from direct sunlight and easy to access. Don't worry if you don't have much space. Creativity and patience can turn any corner into the starting point of your green journey. Fourth, many people struggle with the question of what to add or avoid when composting. Have you ever stood over your kitchen trash, wondering whether orange peels, tea bags, or chicken bones should go into the compost? A simple rule is this: anything that once lived or comes from natural organic sources usually breaks down well. Vegetable scraps, dried leaves, coffee grounds, unbleached paper towels, these are perfect. But avoid meat, bones, dairy, oils, and plastic-like materials because they break down slowly, cause odors, attract pests, or disrupt the compost microbes. Scientifically, Plant-based scraps contain carbon and nitrogen, essential nutrients for microorganisms to break materials down quickly. Meanwhile, fats and proteins from meat and dairy decompose slowly and can generate unpleasant smells or harmful bacteria. A friend once told me that a single piece of meat caused her whole compost bin to smell for weeks. So remember, veggies, leaves, and paper are compost's best friends. Meat, bones, and oils are not. Have you ever tried adding these to your compost? If you have, you'll notice the difference in smell and breakdown speed. Fifth, the secret to low-effort composting is much simpler than most people think. You don't need to turn your compost every day. Once a week is enough for the microorganisms to work efficiently. A friend once told me she used to worry about mixing the compost constantly, but after switching to the once-a-week method, everything still decomposed naturally. Moisture is also key. Check it by hand. If it feels like a wrung-out sponge, it's perfect. Too dry? Add a little water. Too wet? Add dry materials like leaves or shredded paper. Another helpful tip is to place your compost in a shaded spot to reduce evaporation and minimize maintenance. Have you ever felt tired of constantly checking your compost? In reality, once you understand nature's rhythm, all you need to do is assist lightly and let the microorganisms do their job. That's the art of effortless composting. Sixth, handling odors and insects is a common challenge for beginners. A friend once told me she opened her compost bin and was shocked by the smell and the cloud of fruit flies that flew out. Have you ever faced that? Usually, the cause is too much wet material or forgetting to mix the compost. A simple fix is to add more dry materials like leaves, shredded paper, or sawdust. This balances moisture and reduces odors. Regular turning also keeps airflow steady and discourages pests. Experts also recommend sprinkling a thin layer of soil on top if you see fruit flies. It works surprisingly well. Imagine opening your compost bin and instead of worrying, you smell clean, earthy freshness. That's the reward of patience and a few easy tricks. Seventh, how do you know when your compost is ready? This is something almost everyone wonders about, myself included. Picture this. After weeks of waiting, you open the lid and observe with your eyes, your nose, and your excitement. Finished compost is dark brown, crumbly, and you can't recognize the original scraps anymore. It smells like fresh soil, not sour or rotten. A friend once told me that harvesting her first batch of compost felt like discovering a hidden treasure in her garden. Experts say that when your compost is no longer warm, has no strange smell, and feels cool to the touch, it's ready. Have you experienced that moment yet? If not, I promise your first time will be special. It might even make you fall in love with gardening all over again. Eighth, when it's time to use your compost, imagine the feeling of gently spreading that rich, dark earth around your plants and watching new green shoots emerge. Anyone who gardens knows the joy of seeing healthier leaves and brighter flowers after just a few weeks of using homemade compost. A friend once told me that his bougainvillea struggled for years, but after adding compost regularly, the plant became lush and bloomed year-round. According to experts, compost not only feeds plants, but also improves soil structure, increases moisture retention, and helps roots grow strong. Every time I see my garden transform, I feel calmer and more energized. Compost gives us such a simple yet profound gift. Ninth, almost all beginners make mistakes when composting, and even small mistakes can cause big problems. Has your compost ever smelled bad? Or decomposed unevenly? Or stayed stuck for weeks? The usual causes are the wrong ingredients, an imbalanced ratio of greens and browns, or forgetting to turn the pile. A friend once told me that adding too many citrus peels ruined her compost for an entire month. Experts suggest checking moisture regularly, avoiding extreme dryness or wetness, and remembering that compost needs airflow. If you face issues, don't give up. Adjust the materials, mix it again, and be patient. These mistakes become lessons that help you understand nature better. 10th, Let me tell you about a close friend, a busy person who always felt life was overwhelming and lacked meaning. One day, she decided to try composting. It started with a small bin on the balcony, but over time, watching her kitchen scraps transform into fertile soil became something she looked forward to every day. She told me that seeing her plants thrive from compost she made herself made her daily life feel lighter and more joyful. Have you ever wanted to make a meaningful change in your life? Maybe starting with something small, like composting, will help you discover something new within yourself. Are you ready to try something new? 11th, I want to share a perspective from environmental experts, people who have dedicated their lives to studying soil, plants, and human health. Research shows that compost not only improves soil quality, but also reduces greenhouse gases by keeping organic waste out of landfills where it produces harmful methane. One agricultural expert told me that after just one season of using compost, his vegetable garden became healthier, the soil softer, and the pest problems noticeably reduced. Healthy soil grows healthy plants and healthy food for our families. Compost-rich soil helps plants absorb nutrients more efficiently and reduces the need for chemical fertilizers and pesticides. In my own experience, a little patience with composting brings noticeable improvements to your garden, cleaner air around your home, and peace of mind knowing you're protecting the environment for the next generation. 12th. This might be the part many people are waiting for. Answers to common composting questions. Have you ever wondered if you're doing something wrong, why your compost smells strange, or how to know when it's fully done? I used to worry too. And trust me, no question is too small or silly. A friend told me that trial and error taught him more than any guide ever could. From my experience, if your compost smells bad, check the moisture and your ratio of green materials. Sometimes a small adjustment is all it takes. And if you're unsure whether your compost is ready, remember to check the color, smell, and texture. Never hesitate to ask or experiment. Every question brings you closer to mastering composting. 13th, looking back on this composting journey, I feel deeply grateful for the meaning it has added to my life. Have you ever thought that vegetable scraps, dried leaves, or fruit peels, things we often ignore, could turn into a new source of life for your garden? A friend once told me that every time she held a handful of nutrient-rich soil she made herself, she felt proud and happy. This patience and attention teach us to appreciate the small moments in life. From an expert's perspective, composting not only protects the environment, but also strengthens our connection with nature. I hope you continue this habit, because every small action today can create big changes tomorrow. Believe that you're helping make the world a better place, starting with your own little garden. If you found these insights helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the Compost channel to join me on this journey of turning waste into resources and living greener every day. See you in the next video.